Spoiler alert, we're discussing specific scenes from the Amy Winehouse biopic Back to Black, so beware if you haven't seen it yet. The life of Amy Winehouse was hardly a mystery. Between her huge hits, Rehab, Valerie, Back to Black, and Toxic, drug-fueled relationship, the media tracked her every move. But that super-saturated coverage steered director Sam Taylor Johnson in another direction. After spending 2.5 years researching her famous subject for the movie Back to Black, she returned to the records. Everything about Amy was so voyeuristic, that terrible and constant picking apart of her life, she says of the singer and songwriter, who died from alcohol poisoning at 27 in 2011. I thought it was time to go back to the music. Her lyrics could tell her story. But Taylor Johnson still had to make artistic choices about representing episodes in Winehouse's well-documented life in a way that allowed for creative license without straying from the true story. Did Amy Winehouse meet Blake Fielder Civil while playing pool at a neighborhood bar? Winehouse, Marisa Abela, met her future husband, Blake Fielder Civil, Jack O'Connell, at a local pub in Camden, north of London. The two played pool and forged an immediate bond. But the details of what they did and said had to be conjured up to a large degree. On the script, it just said, "They play pool, but it took me 3 days to shoot it," says Taylor Johnson with a laugh. You had to really believe that this connection was strong. The director says they did have the specific drinks depicted in the movie, and Fielder Civil was there bantering with his friends about a bet he'd made. But once he met Winehouse, the dialogue between the two was invented. I had to find the books and music they both liked to build a scenario. One twist in the scene was real. At first, Fielder Civil doesn't let on that he knows who Winehouse is, but late in their chat reveals that he's fully aware his new friend is famous, thanks to her debut album, Frank. There's no doubt he knew who she was instantly, because if you lived in Camden as they did, she was in all those places, says Taylor Johnson. Did Amy Winehouse really want to have a baby, even as she struggled with substance abuse? Throughout Back to Black, Winehouse repeatedly mentions her fierce desire to have a baby, if not a large family. She came from a tight-knit Jewish clan, and despite, or maybe because of her parents' divorce, she yearned for stability. Friends around her have said this was the case, and my screenwriter Matt Greenhall said it kept coming up in interviews. Amy did, says Taylor Johnson. In fact, she said, "I want 6 kids, I want a big family." So I felt we had to acknowledge that. It also makes for a more well-rounded person than the one that has been projected onto the world. That dream ultimately is what led to her demise. She and Fielder Civil form a terrible codependent relationship anchored to hardcore drug and alcohol use, which leads to Fielder Civil's arrest for assault. In the movie, he goes to prison, gets rehabbed while in prison, and concludes that his marriage to Winehouse is not healthy. He starts a new relationship and fathers a child, a fact Winehouse learns from paparazzi camped outside her door. Although she's in rehab herself, the news upends her and ultimately leads to her death. There was a lot of collapsing of time going on in that scene because it was really a while where he's moved on and she was struggling to move on, Taylor Johnson says. But it's absolutely true that she heard about Blake having a child with another woman from the photographers outside. Was Amy Winehouse's performance at Glastonbury Festival as erratic and magnetic as seen in Back to Black? In 2008, Winehouse performed at Britain's famous Glastonbury Festival, a huge multi-artist outdoor event that routinely attracts the world's top talent. But addled by her substance abuse, Winehouse tussled with fans verbally and physically, at one point chastising the crowd for booing her jailed husband. In Back to Black, that festival appearance is recreated with great accuracy by both Abela as Winehouse and Taylor Johnson's set department. She says it was the first time the festival organizers had agreed to let a movie recreate their event. Particularly impressive is that Taylor Johnson did so not on location, but inside a studio with about 200 extras. Meanwhile, Abela endlessly studied videos of Winehouse's performance to get, Taylor Johnson says, every hand and finger gesture, every eye roll, every nuance. We had one video showing the real performance next to a monitor showing what we were shooting. The accuracy was critical, she says, because anyone can pull that up on YouTube and compare it. We're proud of what we got. Rest in peace, dear Amy.